I thought that it was a fantastic idea that we could customize our learning experience and identify which topics we would like to focus on. Kudos, this is a great idea. And these were my choices from Module A, Visual Interest, Module B, Instructor Presence, and Module C, Grading and Feedback. The assignment at the conclusion of Module A was to choose a module from an existing Canvas shell, apply a number of the tools showcased in the module to make the module more visually appealing, to jazz it up, and also to make it more effective. Okay, so this is the module that I want to refresh and jazz up. Study groups and tutoring resources. As we open here, I've got something for fall 23, a glossary, and then links to, I don't know if this is still current, Learning Center 698. And then if I go to the next one, a little bit of information about NetTutor, and finally STEM Center, and yeah, not a whole lot of information. So this is the area I want to sparkle. This is the before. I'm quite happy to work on this until the after is much more impressive. This is a question I have been wrestling with as an instructor. I took advantage of this opportunity to ask this question and use the tips from Module A to wave a flag advertising tutoring options to all of my students in all of my classes. First of all, I researched the question and created a 5-minute screencast exploring reasons why we are reluctant to ask for help. I was able to record the screencast and I uploaded it to an announcement to all 3 classes I am teaching this semester. I am very happy that the lessons learned in this class have an immediate impact on my classes. I realized that the students most in need of support are those most vulnerable students that may not feel a sense of belonging in the class or in college. Although the purpose of the project was to reach out to the more marginalized students, the principles of universal design for learning show that all students will benefit from a more user-friendly design with information being presented in a variety of different formats. These resources are already in use for all of my classes this semester. Hi folks, so this is the after. This is the new and updated study groups and tutoring resources. So this is the jumping off point. I did a little research into this question, why we are reluctant to ask for help. So this is front and center. Students are able to watch this movie and then be directed towards the resources. So the next page down here, tutoring options at Kenyatta College, starting with a banner made using Canva, direct students to the Learning Center, also information on the STEM Center, including a link to the tutoring schedule, and then a little bit about NetTutor, which is an online tutoring option available to our students. So this is about my Canvas study groups, introduction to Canvas groups for students, and at the bottom here, tools that students can use in Canvas groups. Here are the 2 groups, an asynchronous student study group and a sometimes synchronous. Both of these are set up according to student preferences in week 1 of the semester. And then general information about biology, taxonomy, biological dictionary, of a couple of different options. And then I also realized that there was a lack of information for students on how to develop basic study skills if that's something that we realize that they need to work on. Here are some resources, and these are all collated from UCs and California State Universities.
the institutions our students are most likely to transfer into.
I was able to incorporate the concepts of cognitive load to reevaluate how I was presenting instructions to students to complete activities. I identified areas where I could better structure a lesson to free students' working memory for learning rather than trying to understand the steps of the procedure. I teach both in-person and online classes. For a couple of years, I had a growing realization that I had been rolling over my Canvas courses each semester, and I had stopped reevaluating the content with a critical eye to improve them. I'm also currently taking an @1 class on humanizing online learning. I was able to make use of that class content in Module B. The Bitmojis allow a personalized touch to communication with online students. The other takeaway from that class I was able to use in Quartal 2 is the use of short, spontaneous, imperfect movie clips embedded into Canvas. The major assessment in the Activity 2 module was to evaluate other instructors' Canvas courses with the OEI and Peralta Online Equity Rubric criteria. This activity was a revelation. I was viewing Canvas courses from the student perspective, navigating through the syllabus and the modules to find information and figure out the course organization. At the same time, I was reviewing the course through an instructor's lens. As I read through the criteria for assessing equity using the rubric, I found many faults in terms of omissions or queries about accessibility and if the course created a sense of community or belonging to students. It also made me reflect on how my courses would similarly be judged by another instructor and are currently being judged by my students. I have used rubrics previously in Canvas assignments, but the information in this module made me reflect on what information I wanted to communicate to students through the rubric and was the information useful to students. Previously, I had a short-sighted, short-term goal where the rubric focused on the grading criteria of a particular assignment. Now, how I word the criteria is more directed to development of and mastery of skills. Rather than answering questions completely incorrectly, are students applying terminology correctly and entering and analyzing data appropriately? This semester, I will be taking 3 online classes. I am a student. The opportunity to learn and apply my learning has been a guilty pleasure. It is fun to learn new stuff and it is cool to use new stuff. And yes, I took the opportunity to show off a little. I also have experienced the benefits of timely, informative, and supportive feedback. Thank you. It is appreciated even if it did not say so at the time. I received nudges to remind me that I had not made replies to a discussion post. I received suggestions of how to make improvements to assignments I had already submitted. This experience has made me reflect upon how I use feedback with my students. Are there ways when I could say more, display empathy, link current student performance to the information the student shared about themselves at the beginning of the semester? I have learned a variety of new tools and I have been able to apply them to my current classes with immediate effect. However, one key takeaway is the empathy towards other learners, in other words, my students. I have seen how my classes can be improved and also been able to step back and see a wider picture. What from my class can students use to make them successful in their next level classes? Being a student has helped me see through a student's lens.